Hey y'all, it's your friend D, and today we're going to continue working on our village church. So let's get right into it. So the first two things we're going to do is finish off the windows and attach the door. I have been just leaning the door in place, but now we're going to actually put it in place permanently. So to finish off our windows, we have to put our inside trim on as well as our glass. So I've cut out my piece for the trim, and it's the same dimensions as what's on the outside. For the glass, I'm using a clear plastic. Now, I thought about saying glass, but I really want to be able to take pictures from the outside looking in through the windows of the church. So for now, I'm going to go with just clear plastic, and I think I can always change it out later. So I already have one put together. So I've glued this piece of plastic onto my window frame, and it'll get glued in place like that. So I'm going to do all the windows right now, and then we'll do the door. So to fit my door into place, I'm going to use these large pins. To get started, I'm going to snip off the top of this pin that's going to go at the top of the door. So I cut the top of it off, and I just use my wire cutters. So just be careful when you're doing this. So I figured out and marked where I want the pin to attach to the top of the door frame and to the door. So I'm going to slide it into this mark that I have. I don't know if you can really see it, but it's right there. I'm going to try to be careful doing this. And now I'm going to take the door, and I don't think you can see my mark that I made, but I can see it, guys. So I'm going to put the door in place. So I have the top pin in place, and now I have to put the bottom one in. For this bottom one, I'm going to leave the little pearl end on until I make sure that the door is going to open and close properly. So I have the pin pushed through that extra foam board that I left at the bottom to frame the door, and it's going into the bottom of the door. And I'm not going to push that all the way in or cut this off until I make sure that the door opens and closes properly. Yeah, so I have enough room on the side to where it's not getting stuck. It can open all the way and it closes. So now I can go back and trim this off and push the pin the rest of the way to where it's flush with the bottom here. And I learned to do this from Julie Warren. I think that's, yeah, Julie Warren. She does 1/12 scale miniatures. And yeah, she has a lot of nice little tips and tricks on her channel. So now we're ready to attach our walls together. And I almost forgot to add my trim around the door on the inside. So I did it here and as well on the inside of the little entryway. So now I'm going to glue this corner together. And I don't think I'll be able to do that on camera because I don't have enough space. So I have this corner glued together, and I used hot glue for a quick bond, but I also added a little bit of tacky glue. This just gives a stronger bond to me, and I really didn't want that corner to come apart. And now we can put our flooring in. So here's my piece of foam board for the flooring, and without this extra piece for the entryway, the measurements are 19 and 3/4 across, and from front to back, it's 19 and a half. And I had to um, do it that way so I can make sure I had enough space to close up the walls and the flooring would fit in. And to get this little extra piece here, I it was a lot of trial and error. I just took some paper, did a template of the inside of this, and it took a couple of tries for me to get it to where I think it's going to work. And basically, if this doesn't work, I'm going to cut it off and just put it in there separately. So the way I'm hoping this is going to work is that the walls will slide into these slots, and I will glue them in place like that. So I will glue them around the base here. So I think it's going to work. And this flooring does fold up. The front half of the floor will be glued down up to the fold. So the fold will come up and the building will be able to fold like this. But before I glue this in place, I want to show you the flooring that I picked. The last time we were working on the church, I asked you guys to help me pick out the flooring. And the choices were number one, the black and white checkered, number two, the darker wood, and number three, the lighter wood. Now, the lighter wood, I think only got 2 votes, so it's obviously out. So in the end, guys, number one and number two got the same amount of votes, which was so surprising to me. But you guys gave such good reasons why you were picking one over the other. But in the end, I decided to go with number one, guys. And there are 2 reasons why I'm going with number one. The first reason is I really like the way it looks with the red door. And the second reason is, guys, this happened to my car on the way to Hobby Lobby to get more of this paper. Yeah, I had an accident. It was not my fault. Everybody walked away okay. No one was seriously hurt. Another driver ran a stop sign, and it was all because I needed more of this paper. So to attach my paper, I'm just going to use this Elmer's glue stick. I glued the checkerboard paper onto my floor, and I made sure as I was gluing it that I would bend this to get the paper into this fold here. So now I'm going to just glue this floor in place, and hopefully this side here works out. Now I'm going to get started making the pews for the church. And for anyone who doesn't know what a pew is, it's a bench, and you usually find them in churches. They can be ornate or just really simple, and it's where the congregation sits in a church. So I wanted mine to sit at least 2 dolls, and I got some of my leftover foam that I had laying around, and I just did a mock-up of what I wanted it to kind of look like. So I will make some changes from this. So this is just, like I said, some leftover foam, and I wanted to play around with it and see what I could come up with. So here are the measurements that I came up for my pew, and I just played around with it off of this model that I made. And I decided to just keep it simple, keep all of the angles right angles. I did not try to curve the armrest like I did on the mock-up piece. So here you can see that I just kept it straight. And you can change any of these measurements to fit the space that you have for your diorama. And these inside markings, we'll get to that later. Right now, we're just going to focus on the outside. So for the size of the pews, that really acts like an armrest also, I'm going to have 4 of these. So I'm going to double up each side to make it a little bit thicker. And this one will be the other side. So I'm going to get these glued together. So I've created the size of my pews, and it's just the 2 pieces of foam board glued together for each side. And now we're going to work on the back of the pew. So the back of the pew is going to be really, really simple. It's just 2 pieces of foam board cut to 6 inches by 6 inches. And we're going to glue these two together like we did the side pieces. So the 2 pieces for the back have been glued together. And before I go any further, I am going to peel off the top layer from these foam pieces because I do want to paint this. So I'm going to do this on the back piece and on both of the side pieces. So I removed the outer paper from these pieces, and you can skip that step. I just find if I'm going to paint the foam board, it just works out a lot better if I remove that layer of paper. So now that I'm ready to glue the 2 sides and the back together, this is where I'm going to take into consideration these lines that are on my drawing. So this line here is the back of the pew, and I want that to be at the bottom 1.5 inches away from this back edge here. And the top portion of the back is going to be right at the edge up here. Now, I didn't do a measurement from the top because once I figured out where this is, I'm just going to lean that back until it's right on the edge here. So to give you guys a clearer picture of what I mean, I marked off 1.5 inch from the back edge of the side piece. And I'm going to take that 6x6 square, put one corner right on that mark, and then I'm going to turn it until it lines up at the top with the edge there. So this way I only have to do this one measurement down here. As long as it's on that mark and it lines up on the edge here, I'm fine. So I'm going to mark this off. And now I know where to glue down that piece. So I have these two pieces glued together. And now all I have to do is put on this other side. So for the other side, I just marked off 1.5 inches again on the inner portion of this. And I'm going to line it up with the bottom of the back piece. And as long as I get that lined up, it's going to automatically, well, I hope, line up at the top also. So I have these three pieces put together, and now I want to put in my seat. And I made these little pieces to help me ensure that the seats are level. And it's just 1.25 inch across and 2.25 inches in height. And I'm going to put one of these on each side. So I have my two pieces in place on the sides here, and my seat is just going to sit on top of those. So for the seat, I'm using a piece of foam board that is 6 inches by 3 inches, and this will just sit on top of those two pieces, and I'll glue it in, and it'll help to make sure that the seat is relatively level on both sides. So I'm going to get this glued into place. So now we have a basic pew or bench, if you prefer to call it that. And as you can see, the seat is just sitting on top of these. I did glue it in place. I put glue on both sides and along the back. So we have a basic pew. Now, some of you may be wondering why I didn't double this piece. I am going to double it, but I'm going to save that second piece for later because I want to cover this to make it look like a cushion. So I'm going to set this one aside. But right now, I want to cover up these edges here. So I've cut some popsicle sticks and I'm going to fit them around these edges here to make it look a little bit cleaner before I paint everything. So I'm going to get these glued in place and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. So I have all of my edges covered up with the popsicle sticks. I did use a skinny stick along the front here to clean up that edge. But I like the way it looks, and I think once I start painting it, it's going to look really nice. But I want to go a little bit further and add some of the skinny sticks on this side just to give it a little bit more decoration. So I have all the skinny sticks on the side, and I think it helps to finish it off. I did make some mistakes here and there, but this is the first one. So hopefully as I go along, the other ones will get better. Because when you're looking in the church from the front door, you will see the sides of the pews as well as the back. So I went ahead and finished that off around the edges with some of the skinny sticks. The front, not so much. I'm not worried about this in here. You won't really see that all that much. Now to finish off the sides, I do want to add some decoration here. I have these laser cut crosses that you get from the Dollar Tree. You get 6 in a pack and it's $1.25, but you only get 2 of each cross. So I think I want to use this first one. So my glue for my cross is dried and I put one on the other side as well. And now I'm going to go over everything with my black paint and Mod Podge mixture. So my black paint and Mod Podge mixture is dry. And you can always skip this step if you don't think it's necessary. I just personally like to do it. And I did make the other pews for the church. I'm going to have 4 in total. And so I went ahead and started painting the other ones, but I wanted to show you what the black paint looked like once it's dried. I started painting the pews with this Burnt Umber by Apple Barrel. I got this at Walmart for either 54 or 56 cents. and it is a matte paint. And I quickly realized I did not like that it was matte. I want a little bit more of a gloss, but this is what I had on hand. So I tried this out first, and this is what the pews look like. I don't like the color, and I don't like that it's a matte paint. Definitely want something a little bit more glossy. So that's how that one was looking. So I went and checked my stash, and I did have this deep brown that I got from the Dollar Tree. So I gave it a try, and here we are. And it is a matte finish also, which I don't like, but I like the color a little bit more. It does have a more of a reddish tint. So here they are side by side. This is the burnt umber, and this is the deep brown from Dollar Tree. And I definitely like the one with the Dollar Tree paint on it better. I like the color of it. I changed my mind about the paint job, guys. So all of them have been painted. And what I did, I decided to go with the deep brown that I got from the Dollar Tree on the majority of the pew, but all of the trim, I left it in that burnt umber, and I really like the way it looks. Now, once I put it in the church, I might change my mind, but the good thing is I can just paint over it. So now we need that extra piece that we set aside earlier, and this is going to be the cushion for our seat. So I have this red felt, and I really want red cushions, but I'm kind of thinking twice about it. I'm not sure. And I also have some faux leather from the Dollar Tree. These are $1.25. I have this black one, but I think that'll just make the interior look too dark. And I have this camel color leather from the Dollar Tree. So I'm trying to decide between those three guys. So guys, here we are so far, and I'm thinking I might have made this too big, but that's okay. I wanted the church to be taller than the gazebo, and it is going to be. I still have to put the roof on. So we still have some things to do to this build. So we'll see how it goes. So as you can see, I did decide to go with the red felt for the seat cushions, and I didn't glue any of them in. This way, if I decide to change my mind, I can. I'll just recover this, or I can just leave them without a cushion and just have a cleaner look. But I kind of like the red cushions with the red door, and I like the black and white checkered on the floor. And I do like the clear plastic in the windows, but part of me is like, maybe I should try to put stained glass. So I don't know. I still might go back and change that. And you see all of this space here. This is where I was going to try to put a decent sized pulpit, but I don't think it'll fit because I wanted the pulpit and a organ, and it's going to be a tight fit. And I'm thinking I might be able to get a small organ in the corner and just a smaller podium here. And when I was making the pews, I forgot to keep in mind that the room needed to fold up and everything needed to fit inside. But it worked out. At first, I thought I was going to have to stack them, but I actually don't. So if I just move them back, and then I can fold that, and this wall comes around like this, guys. And it folds up, and there we are. So my friends, that's all I have for you today. And if you have questions about anything in this video, please leave it in the comments below. I will try to the best of my ability to answer your questions. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. I'll see you next time, friends. Bye-bye.